really excited about our next guest. The one and only Savanah Hernandez is joining the show. What's up, Sav?
Hey, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. We haven't talked in so long.
I know. I'm excited to have you. You got a wild story, and it goes in line with what we've been talking about a lot on my show. Just like the insane idea of reducing the bond for people who have done heinous crimes. And I've talked about it ad nauseum when it comes to Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. He had his bond reduced from, $1 million down to $300,000. He's on the streets. We had a local story here in Nashville where a guy raped two girls at gunpoint and had his bond reduced from $800,000 to $300,000. And I'm not the only one seeing this, and it seems like in a post Black Lives Matter world, is there a black privilege that we're not acknowledging in the court system now?
Well, you know what, Chris? You hit me with the black privilege point, which is where I was not expecting to go with this. But if we are honest with this and look at these statistics, I unfortunately would have to say so. I mean, honestly, looking into local district court judges and the consistent low bond that is set to allow these people to be released back onto the streets is something that I was aware it was happening, but once you start truly looking at it on a local level, you really start to understand why the United States of America can never get cleaned up, why it seems like there's a perpetual cycle of crime in all of our cities. And unfortunately, like, you just asked, if you do look at the statistics of it, it does seem like certain people do get reduced sentences. And I think that's one of my biggest frustrations in 2025 is, why is the law not being applied equally? Why can we as Americans not just look at a case legally and apply things, across the board in an equal manner? I don't understand.
No, and I'm with you. And this is why I think your story is so fascinating. So you started digging in on some local judges in Texas. And what you found is pretty shocking. And I'd love for you to kind of deep dive into what your reporting has revealed.
Absolutely. So I started digging into this because I read the headline the other day that the Houston mayor stated that 900 people who have been accused of murder are currently free on bond walking the streets of Houston right now as we speak. Now, this is happening in Harris County, which has the highest crime rate in Texas. And again, if you dig into why that is, it is because these judges all across Houston are continually releasing criminals again and again. And I am finding these horrific patterns in which murderers criminals who might have been, committing like a felony theft or some other crime that wasn't necessarily murder, then go on to commit murder after they are released from jail on bond. So I dug into Democrat District Court Judge Hilary Unger. And I mean, this woman's rap sheet is crazy. She had a pattern in which 8 of the defendants that she ended up releasing on bond went on to commit murder. And unfortunately, that is one of the patterns that's on the lower scale. There are other judges in Texas in which it's, up to 9 to 11 defendants that went on to commit murder. So I don't know what is going on over there or over here. And then again, regarding Hilary Unger herself, let me just run you through some of the people that she's letting out onto the streets. So Dremone Francis, this case happened in 2024. This man is accused of capital murder. Maybe for some of the listeners who don't know what that is when you go and you kill a police officer, and typically the death penalty is a potential consequence of committing capital murder. Yeah. Now, prosecutors can request no bond to be set when this is the charge. However, Hilary Unger decided to set bond, and Dremone Francis was able to post bail and was released. Now, that's one of the more relaxed stories. If we fast forward to, or we go back to 2021, Marquise Ware, this story is just insane, Chris. And I was reading this over and over again to make sure I had the facts right, because I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So this man was charged with a felony. He was given a bond. He was released from jail. He was charged with another felony. Instead of his first bond being revoked, he was given another bond. While he was out on the second bond, he shot and killed a father in front of his 12-year-old daughter. And it gets worse, Chris.
Oh, my gosh.
This man was given another bond after the murder, and he was released within the day. That is who is being let out on the streets of Texas. I mean, you have other people who have been charged with capital murder. Andrew Williams is another suspect. After he was released on bond, he went and he ran over a 71-year-old woman after trying to steal her purse. I mean, it's just atrocious what is going on over here in Texas. And then the most recent case is Austin Collette. Now, this man committed a murder back in 2019. And he admitted to it in December of 2024. So he was free on bond awaiting sentencing. And while he was awaiting sentencing, he decided to shoot and kill his girlfriend and then shoot and kill himself in a murder-suicide. That just happened 3 weeks ago, Chris.
How does this keep happening? Like, the meme is that, states like Tennessee, states like Texas were conservative, and you know how conservatives are with law and order. How do we let this fly in conservative states? Like, I would almost expect this in a Baltimore or a New York or Chicago, but in Texas or the cases that we've seen in Tennessee, it's like, why does this happen?
That's a really great question, Chris, and it's one that I am going to be digging into. But so far on the surface level, what I found is that while the conservatives and Republicans are always focused in on national politics, on federal politics, the Democrats are focused in at the local level, meaning they're getting all of these district court judges into the judicial system to make these horrific rulings. They've pushed bail reform. I mean, the Democrats do a very good job of infiltrating at the small local level that the average person might think is super unimportant. I mean, think about this, Chris. When you go and you vote, like, let's say we're both politically uninformed. You go into the voting booth and you're probably just clicking, okay, down ballot, cool. I'm just going to click this button. It doesn't matter who's on the ballot. I'm just going to pick one side or the other. People are not looking into who is on the ballot, who they're voting into office. A lot of times these judges, these Democrat judges, are running unopposed. So the Democrats do a very good job at infiltrating at the local level. Meanwhile, we're focusing in nationally. So, I mean, that personally is something that I'm trying to work on, is what's going on in Texas, because we've also been dealing with a lot of these Islamic compounds that are starting to pop up all over our state. And people are starting to ask the question of, how is this being allowed to happen? I know there's a lot of farmland that has been purchased by the Chinese in Texas. So a lot of sinister things have been happening behind the scenes, but while we're distracted with the federal level issues because we think that, the president has all this power, again, the Democrats are on that local level, and they understand that the true power lies in the small cities, in the small towns, and again, in the district court judges.
Yeah, and for guys like Soros out there that are funding these smaller elections, there's a lot more ROI, return on investment, for these smaller elections, and that's been parsed out many, many times. There's a lot more value in throwing money behind a judge's election or a AG or a district attorney than there is throwing some money behind a senator.
Exactly. And, this is something that a lot of right-wingers were sounding the alarm bells on before Joe Biden left office. A lot of Republicans ended up going home for the holiday season, during those last couple of months when Biden was president. But what he was doing during that time frame was electing all of these judges behind the scenes. Nobody was paying attention to it. And again, these people, I mean, Chris, I was even looking into Washington, D.C., and a third of their district court judges are foreign born. And oftentimes it's these judges that are the same ones that are blocking Donald Trump's executive orders. So again, we're so focused in on the White House. We're so focused in on Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, the Democrats are like, okay, well, what are other ways that we can obstruct our opponents? And it is via these judges.
So you said in Washington, D.C., a third of the judges are foreign born?
Yes, you need to look into this story, Chris. It's absolutely crazy. This article came from The Federalist, but a third of them are foreign born. Many of them, of course, were elected by Joe Biden or the Obama administration, and these are the exact same judges that come in that have been obstructing Donald Trump, that have been ordering him to return illegal immigrants to the United States of America. Look into who is making all of these decisions. It's absolutely insane. I mean, It's just crazy. Like I said, Chris, I think we've talked about this before, but it's the fact that you can have somebody who's foreign-born in Congress. You can also have foreign-born people serving as judges in the United States of America. And then oftentimes these same judges care more about foreign people and foreign countries than the welfare of the United States and her citizens. So that's why we're seeing so much turmoil. And, I truly think that politics was made so confusing so the average person doesn't understand how it works. So the average person can't get a grasp on how, all of these different levers are pulled, which is why it's good you and I are having this conversation. But it's just truly insane to see how infiltrated we have become from so many different angles.
How do we fight back against this? Is it simply a matter of making sure you're educated on these lower elections and these lower issues as opposed to the national politics, or is there more that you think that we should be doing?
No, I think it really is just that. And I think that, like I said, paying attention to national politics, it's a lot sexier, if you will, than paying attention to local.
That's
but
true.
I think that's what I'm going to, make my new mission. Bringing in local politics, making it more exciting, making it more digestible, making it more enjoyable to consume and understand, because, again, we're focusing too big when we need to be focusing in at home. And this is a message I've heard time and time again from so many people who've been in politics a lot longer than me. And I think in the influencer age, this is the perfect time to try to figure out how to start repackaging this information. Like I said, I'm going to start doing these shorter videos about district court judges. So hopefully, hey, that's my district, or, this election is coming up in my city or hometown. Then, go send these videos to your friends, and in 2 minutes, they can learn who is really in office and who is up for re-election.
Without giving away your sources and methods, and I understand Texas is going to be different than Tennessee, but what do you do? How do you dig on a judge? What's the process when you're trying to find out information on the background behind somebody? How do you go about it?
I mean, luckily for me, there's been so many other incredible journalists who have come before me who have already been, chipping away at this and putting the information out there. And unfortunately, it just really never reaches that national level. Honestly, Chris, that's how I get a lot of my stories, is I just find these smaller stories that nobody's really paying attention to. And I'm like, let's put a national spotlight on this. So that's really all it is. I love speaking to other independent reporters. And then also, too, even further, it's like going through the various court documents, going through various cases, but it really is a combination of so many independent journalists and local journalists who have been chipping away at this for a long time.
And we're grateful for you putting a national spotlight on this. Make no mistake about it. We're talking with Savanah Hernandez. She's an investigative journalist for Turning Point USA's Frontlines. What is next for you in this story? You said you're going to be going kind of one by one through these district judges in Texas.
Oh, yeah, we have 477, Chris. So I don't think that I'm going to run out of content anytime soon. But I'm already working on my next little video. And like I said, I'm just going to start digging into these judges and really trying to bring more eyes on this. Like I said, I'm definitely not the first person to do this. But I just really want to try to use my platform to try to wake up Texans, because our state really is faltering. Our state really is not the stand your ground state. We're strong Texas. We're conservative. Nothing's going to fly over here. No, Texas is a weak state right now. It's quite frankly purple. And I'm going to do what I can to fortify it by helping spread this information.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of red states right now. And Tennessee, I feel the same way sometimes. Even some of the Republicans that we have just seem soft. And it's like, what? This is not the meme that you make it out to be of this big, strong conservative state. And we're a couple elections away from losing it if we don't pay attention.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's the same thing as when we talk about, again, the federal government, right, Chris? We love to hype them up. They're awesome. It's great that we won the last election, but now we're in the point where we need to start really being critical of people that we look up to.
Yep.
And holding their feet to the fire, making sure they're getting things done. And then, like I said, at the state level, really being informed about what's going on and trying to repackage things for people in a more entertaining way, I guess. You know, people love being entertained, and it's like, okay, let me make a fun little video for you about how horrific Texas is. Like, let's inform people in this way. Good Lord.
Yeah, well, hey, we appreciate you doing it. Savanah Hernandez, again, a great investigative reporter. How can we keep up with you and keep up with your story, Sev?
Go follow me on X at Sev Says, and go follow the Frontlines account on X as well. Thank you for having me, as always.
Anytime, Sav. That's Savanah Hernandez with Turning Point USA and Frontlines. She's one of the best reporters in the game. Definitely worth a follow.